Welcome into Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. On today's show, we are going to look at some draft day trade ideas involving DK Metcalf. Later on, we will discuss how the Deebo Samuel situation can affect the Seahawks, and we have a Seahawks free agency update as well. Let's go ahead and get right to it with the DK Metcalf draft trade rumors. Could the Seahawks be making a deal involving Metcalf on draft day? Certainly seems possible at this point. Now, I want to make one thing clear. Before we go into these trades, I have been very adamant. I do not want to see DK Metcalf put on another jersey next year other than a Seahawks jersey, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way as well. So we have to do our due diligence and talk about these rumors, but let your voice be heard. Here is your chance to sound off and tell us if you want to see DK Metcalf still in Seattle. Type HY for hell yes, type HN for hell no. Here's your chance to sound off and let your voice be heard that you want to see DK Metcalf in Seattle. I bet we're not going to get very many HNs on that comment box, but here's your chance to go ahead and let us know in the comments below if you think the Seahawks should hang on to DK Metcalf. The numbers on DK Metcalf, they speak for themselves, right? You're talking about a guy that has had over 900 receiving yards in the first 3 seasons of his NFL career to this point every year. His touchdown numbers have gone up every single year as well. He has been terrific in his first 3 seasons in the National Football League. And now the Seahawks have a decision whether to extend Metcalf or to trade him at this point, as he only has 1 year remaining on his deal. So here are the draft day trade scenarios. Let's start out with this one involving the Philadelphia Eagles here. And in this scenario, the Seahawks get the number 15 and the number 18 overall pick. They also get a second and third round pick. But not only do they give up DK Metcalf, they also give up the number 9 overall pick. And these trade ideas are courtesy of the guys over at 12th Man Rising. And I got to tell you, man, it sounds terrible enough getting rid of DK Metcalf. But you get rid of your top 10 pick? No way. No way, no how. You get worse in first-round draft capital. Yes, you get 2 picks, but I'm not a fan of that one bit. If you're going to make a trade involving draft picks, you would think you would want to, I don't know, move up in the draft? No way. This would be a bad idea. The Eagles would be very happy, I'm sure, if they were to get this deal. The Seahawks, not so much. I don't like the idea of moving down in the draft and losing your best player in the process as well. We will have more of these draft trade ideas in just a second, but before we do, got to tell you about BetUS. These guys are the absolute best. If you want to put a wager in on the NBA playoffs or some of the top sporting events, whatever it may be, BetUS is the only way to go. 125% deposit bonus when you insert $100 or more. They're going to give you $125 to spend. It's incredible. It's free money. Here's your chance to do so. Chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code Seahawks125 for your chance to take part in what BetUS has got going on. It's a great promotion. You don't want to miss out on it. BetUS. You bet, you win. BetUS. Seahawks125 is the promo code there. Now, a couple more trade ideas. Let's look at this one from the Saints. Now, in this scenario, the Seahawks, again, do not move up in the draft. They move down to 16 and 19. Don't like that either in this scenario. Now, for the Saints, a team that has question marks at quarterback, that doesn't know what they're going to do for receivers, for whoever that quarterback is, they're thrilled at this point if they get DK Metcalf. But in the Seahawks case, you go down to 16 and 19. You get a couple second-round picks, one including next year, as opposed to that Eagles deal, which involved a third-round pick. I'm out on this idea, too. I don't want to trade down if you're going to move on from DK Metcalf. I don't like this idea of moving on from DK and losing that number 9 pick. Got another trade to show you in just a moment, but before we do, we want to make sure that you are subscribed to Seahawks Today. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Turn those notifications on. We're going to be all over the NFL Draft next week in that coveted number 9 pick. If news is happening on the Seahawks, we're going to be on it. We're going to be delivering it to you. We're going to be all over the rumors. And the only way that you can see that is if you are a part of Seahawks Today. Subscribe to the channel right now. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Tell a friend or 2 or 50. Make sure they're a subscriber to Seahawks Today as well. All right, one more trade scenario for you. Now, this one is one that I like. I don't want to get rid of DK Metcalf, but if there is one, this would be the one because you finally move up in the draft, and you don't fall down that much either in the other pick. You go up to 4, and you go down to 10, just one spot. And then you get a second-round pick as well. But you still have to give up a first-round pick yourself and DK Metcalf here. So it's a 3-for-2 situation here. You get 3 picks, but you lose DK Metcalf and a first-round pick in the process. I would still turn down this trade, but the Jets' offer here is the best of the 3. And the reason that I think that the Jets in this case make a better offer than the other 2 teams is the Jets are more desperate than those other 2 teams that we mentioned to make a trade and would be willing to give up more at this point. At the end of the day, folks, trading DK Metcalf would be dumb. Trading DK and a first-round pick would be dumber. Okay? Look, DK Metcalf, the numbers are incredible. He has been terrific the last 3 years there in Seattle with what he's done at this point in time. But to think about moving on from him, you just can't do. I know that the Seahawks are potentially in rebuild mode. But you know what? You can rebuild this team and move forward with him as your franchise player, with your franchise wide receiver. So that's what I would do is hold on to DK Metcalf, use that number 9 pick. Don't involve a draft day trade with DK Metcalf and move down. No thanks. I'm out on that. Now, I want to hear from you guys. We've talked about these DK Metcalf rumors for a few weeks on end, really since the Russell Wilson trade. What do you guys think is the percentage chance that DK Metcalf is still in Seattle this upcoming season? Give us a number, 1 through 100. Maybe it's 69. I don't know. Seems like a nice number. Whatever it may be, here is your chance to weigh in and tell us the likelihood of DK Metcalf remaining a member of the Seahawks. This is not a question of if you think he should be a Seahawk or not. It's what you think is going to happen here. Type in 1 through 100, a number. Tell us the percentage chance that DK Metcalf is going to be a member of the Seahawks. You'll get an ad break here in just a second. Take advantage of it while that ad's playing. Get those numbers in and let your voice be heard here on Seahawks Today. Coming up here on Seahawks Today, we will transition now and talk about Deebo Samuel. And you may be surprised, but this Deebo Samuel situation actually has some implications for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Samuel requested a trade out of San Francisco, and he says it's not about money, which we all know what that really means. It's about money. And he's entering the final year of his rookie contract. He's going to be paid a little bit less than $4 million. And the odds-on favorites, according to the folks out west, the Jets, Eagles, Patriots, Bears, just to name a few, to land Deebo Samuel at this point. Now, I'll say this much. Samuel and Metcalf were on the same timeline. They were both rookies at the same time. They both were players that were picked in later rounds, so they aren't eligible for a fifth-year option. So this is make or break for both these guys at this point in time. So with that being said, the Deebo Samuel situation can affect DK Metcalf because if a deal is done on Deebo, whether it's a trade or if he somehow ends up back in San Francisco and gets that extension, then that's going to shape the market for DK Metcalf, whether it's DK staying in Seattle or getting traded as well. There's no chance in hell that Deebo Samuel ends up in Seattle. San Francisco's not stupid enough to trade him within the division, although it'd be cool to have him there. I'm not opposed to it at all, but it's just not happening here. The reality, though, is that getting him out of the division would be nice for the Seahawks if he is shipped away, but also something to keep in mind. How does that affect the market for DK Metcalf? It will play a factor one way or the other. What do you guys think? Where does Deebo Samuel end up in 2022? Will we see him back in San Francisco? Will he play for another team this year? Type in the comments below where you think Deebo Samuel is going to end up in 2022. A Seahawks free agency tracker updates for you involving Mario Addison, the edge rusher that is a free agent, previously played for the Buffalo Bills, 10-year veteran, and has had a lot of sacks over the last 3 seasons, just under 22. Had an official visit with the Seahawks on Wednesday, and I got to tell you, looking at Addison and the needs for this Seahawks team, that wouldn't be a bad find to bring in Addison to Seattle. If Addison is cheap, which I would expect at this point in his career, why not? I mean, after 10 seasons, the numbers last year were pretty decent for Mario Addison. 7 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 8 tackles for loss here. This Seahawks team has a lot of concerns on that defense, in particular that defensive line. And although you brought in Uchenna Nwosu this offseason, you need somebody to play alongside him. Now, you'll probably address that in the draft, but in the short term, if Mario Addison is not going to cost you a whole lot, that could be a good find for the Seahawks. Now, it is worth noting they don't have a whole lot of cap space to spend at this point in time, somewhere in the range of $12 to $13 million, and you still have to use some of that money on draft picks. But if you can afford Mario Addison, might be a good find for the Seahawks there.